We start with the rumored coaching candidates of the Calgary Flames, Wasey, as it appears. We have from Pierre LeBrun some favorites. Now, this isn't a Flames list. This is Pierre digging around, but it certainly fits the bill of names we've heard and guys we think have a chance. Mitch Love, absolutely the internal candidate we talked about at length just moments ago. Andrew Brunette, that fantastic season with the Panthers last year, helps New Jersey do a great season this year. Guy that's generally adored by all his former teammates and players, universally, I should say, not generally. And Gerard Gallant, who, I don't know, I feel like a bit of the shine's come off Gerard here after his firing in New York. It's been some short stays in his last few spots, although he's won a bunch, at least in the regular season in those places.
You know, that's an interesting with Gallant, but he's not going to be scared. He's the limelight there. But I feel like just the coaching life of a Gerard Gallant, he comes in, he fixes it, and
not a long shelf life.
Yeah,
it's kind of how I felt about Daryl, and then they gave him that extension. You're like, I thought 2.5 years would be perfect. You 4.5? Another 2 years? Who gave him that? Anyway, we know how that ended. 2.5 years was the roundabout time, even maybe too much for Daryl. And any other names you think about? I know Ryan Huska is a guy that I think is widely regarded as a professional consummate, like X's and O's, great human. Is it his time? Is he a career assistant? He's getting interviewed in some other places as well. Like I think he's a name that we're not hearing a bunch, but is a very real candidate for them as well. Do you know Huska at all?
I don't know Huska. I'm aware that, he was a Western League guy.
Kelowna guy.
He's earned his opportunity. I was just, thinking of guys that just kind of came from, that really didn't have the NHL experience. A mentor of mine is Jim Montgomery.
Yeah.
I think he was picked out of Denver when he was hired.
Guys, DU?
Yeah.
And then went to Dallas.
And,
man, so Jim, Jim, who went to Boston, had that incredible year. You played for Bruce, you said. He's still alive with Vegas. Looks like he's going to the final. That's some guys.
Yeah, I've been fortunate. Like you said, I've played everywhere, so I've pretty much met everyone.
I was going to say, being a suitcase helps, I guess. Yeah. Lots of coaches.
But, with Huska, he's been there. Like he's seen everything. I think he knows the players better than anyone. Yeah. As assistant coach, you're relied upon, as the good cop. So that'll be hard buffer. That buffer. But your players, and you look at it is tough though to go from the good cop to the bad cop, and as a player you can see right through that. And so it'll be interesting. And another name that I was thinking of is Alex Tanguay, right?
Yeah, that's been floated. Obviously the relationship with Jerome and Connie. I wonder how you bring a guy in, and is it fair to plunk him right into head coach? I mean, it looks great when Marty St. Louis does it, but there's been some other spots where it doesn't. Maybe he comes in as a skill guy, roves around the organization, AHL, NHL. They're in the same city now, visit top prospects. Hey, we got a homestand. Come do some power play work with us. And then you really get to see the fiber of his fabric. Is this a head coach candidate?
It's, again, like, do you want someone proven? Like with this group, this veteran group, but also what does it look beyond this year, right?
It's totally the conundrum they're in. And you and Rhett talked about it a bunch. I feel like they're somewhat handcuffed to at least run it back one more time. But I also feel like last year taught you some things, and it wasn't just Daryl. There's some other issues, and that you do have to think about, what do we look like in 4 years when we open a new rink in theory? Where are we with young players? And this year you're trying to sort of serve both those masters, get younger and start turning over the roster, but also compete. Hard to walk that tightrope. And to be fair, you probably hire different coaches for a fully go this way or fully go that way.
Yeah. And it's exciting for the city, the new building, and it means a lot to players.
Yeah.
You want a good team, obviously, when day one, that
you don't want to be old and last in the league.
You want to be an exciting group. And I feel that's important. But at the same time, you look at they were one save, one goal lead that they had that they blew this year, that it could very well be them, in this Final Four.
That's what's so weird about this tournament. Everyone's like, they're not a contender if they get in. Well, Seattle was a Game 7 away from being in the conference. No one said that all year. Florida, no one gave them a snowball's chance in hell against Boston in round one. Never mind even getting in. They were out of the playoffs 72% of the season. Just get in and get hot.
I'm a biased Flames fan. Like I live and die with the Flames, and you look at Florida. think they said the last couple of years, the teams that won the President's Trophy have gone on to win the Stanley Cup, or at least be in the Stanley Cup final.
It's a long time, isn't
it? It's interesting. So like, it just 1 year doesn't necessarily mean you're doomed.
Yeah.
And with this group and the veterans they have pride. And, you know I played with Markstrom, and he's a battler, man. He wants to prove himself. Like, he's very intense, and he's an ultimate teammate. So he wants to do whatever it takes for this city and for his teammates. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of team they march out this fall.
Let's go to the team that played last night. Overtime again in round 3. Round 2, all those blowouts. Round 3, overtime for everyone. Overtime for days. 2-2, Dallas and Vegas. Let's jump in.
Tied for the team lead in the regular season with 13 man-up goals. Not available tonight. It comes down low. Hits all alone. Stopped by Hill.
Got a chance there.
Falling save. Heiskanen. They score! Joe Pavelski! A power play goal! And the Stars are still alive.
Joe Pavelski, 9 goals this postseason. 4 game winners, and Hintz, what a gorgeous move there. Almost wins it there. Joe pretty good at hockey still. Didn't know it was going to go this way when that 3-year deal was signed leaving San Jose. You're like, oh boy, that's an old man at the end of that contract. Old man's still good at hockey.
I got to play against Joe his first year. He got called up at the end of his college season, and then he was in Worcester.
Okay.
And I was good in faceoffs, and this guy ripped my wrist off. And you could tell he was going to be a good player. And the next year, that Logan Couture. Yeah. But you talk about, well, I mentioned earlier, like, battle tested guys. He just grabbed them on his back, said, "Hey, we're not done." And I was listening to the NHL, all the different talk shows on the way here in from Saskatoon, and man, they were writing those guys off.
Yeah,
like they were already talking about the matchup between Vegas and Florida.
And to be fair, you got to win 4 in a row.
Yeah,
but all of a sudden you've planted the seed of doubt.
Yep, the hardest one is that fourth one to win, and they're not going to go easy. They talked about how they want to play for their captain, and it was unfortunate or whatever with what happened with Jamie Benn. But there's a team that is playing for their captain, and when you have something to play for, and now it's their. I would, as a coach, I would just go in and play every single person. Every clip said, "Hey, these guys they think you're dead.
Yeah,
this is on you guys.
Us against the world.
Yeah."
Yeah, why not? You're down 3-1. You got to play the underdog card. You're not a favorite. Can't play that card.
We did that. We did that twice this year.
So. You did. And I want to ask you about that when we finish the Pinder report. An incredible season you had with the Blades as assistant coach, your first year there. Let's go to the all-time active playoff goals. This is incredible for Pavelski because he's been around, but like, whoa. So guys still in the league. Look where he's at. He's got more playoff goals than Ovechkin, more than Sidney Crosby. Same number of games as Sid, and he's got 2 more goals. Like, this is some elite company, some rare air. 180 playoff games. My goodness.
It's wild. He gets better. He's like fine wine. He just gets better with age, and he's not a great skater, but he makes his living in front of the net in those dirty areas. And I'm going to say that goal was probably this year was probably one of the furthest out he's scored. Like,
that's a fair point.
And you can see he's rubbed off on Robertson. You look at that goal yesterday, that was a beautiful double deflection. And that's what you're gonna have to do is get, dirty goals, timely goals. And he's leading by example.
Here's what I know about Stanley Cup final. Florida's in it. And when it starts and who they play, well, still to be determined. So if we see the Knights win game 5, we'll get started on May 31. So that's all of a sudden pretty quick. What, midweek next week? Is that right?
It's Wednesday.
So boom, we're right into the final. Now, if it goes 6 or 7, so AKA if you see a Dallas win in game 5, all of a sudden we're jumping ahead a while. Could have a bigger gap there, but also maybe we see 7. Who knows? That's from John Bouchigras of ESPN. So interesting note there. And I want to run this past you. This is fascinating. So the CHL in Europe, people don't really know Champions League hockey, but it's the exact same as soccer or football. You take teams from all these different leagues, be it teams playing in England, Austria, Sweden, Norway, France, whatever, and they can all play each other. Here's some of the rule changes they've done. I love this stuff. Traditionalists, some people hate it, don't change the rules. Here are the rule changes that aren't proposed. They're going to happen starting next season, I believe. If you score on a minor penalty, the penalty keeps going. It's still 2 minutes. love that. It shades to more offense. It also makes you, again, boy, I really shouldn't take that penalty. It could even be more painful to my team. Secondly, if there's a delayed penalty and you score, you still get the power play. Don't mind that either. Again, we're shading towards offense, which I like in the game. Other people, maybe not. And here's an even better wrinkle that, blow my mind. Hadn't thought of this one. The other two we've talked about a long time. Score shorthanded, penalties off the board. It's like the get out of jail key.
As a coach, I'm just thinking now, how could we add some offense into our penalty killer, right? So any type of 50-50 puck, let's send that guy and we're putting it off the glass and let's go, right? Yeah. And it makes hockey exciting. And I'm all for these. Like the European hockey, obviously bigger ice.
Yeah. So scoring's a little lower,
a little slower. So I think they want to make sure that but for the NHL, it would make it exciting. You know, and there's some really smart hockey players that know how to cheat, when to cheat, and when the opportunity to put the puck in the net. And why not? If you could, you send your captain or your top scorer is in the penalty box and your penalty kill guys like, hey, I got you, right?
So that's right. Free them. Let's go.
Let's let them out.
And look, NHL doesn't have to do that. That may seem really radical to some people. Others are like, let's give it a go. Oh, try it in the American League for a few years. Just pay attention. See how it works over there.
Yeah.
And like, are fans loving it? Is it like, whoa, this is like, people will not avert their eyes, shorthanded or power play. It feels like, is it too much power given to special teams? Those are all things you'll learn by watching this.
It's interesting. And the American League's the number one. I remember we were the first league to, the 3-on-3 overtime, right? So, and then it just gravitated and now it's in the NHL. So it'll be interesting to what they do.
And everything evolves too, right? The first time we saw 3-on-3, it's the greatest ever. And now we see 3-on-3s where it's like reload. The blue lines.
That's
like,
coaching now though.
Like the coaches have got their paws on it.
They got their paws on it.
As we said, the coaches will always find a way to smother the offense than anything. So now what do? Do you do more 3-on-3? Something else you can do? Or do you leave the game as is? Let's go to NBA. You a hoops guy or no?
I'm a hoops guy.
Because this TNT panel they've had for years with Shaq and Chuck is phenomenal. It's Celtics Heat. Celtics win last night, so now it's a 3-2 series. But here's Chuck trying to do a Boston accent. This is quite special. I know that Chuck's from Boston.
I saw Annie at Fenway Park eating chowder on top of the monster.
No, not at all.
Try it one more time, Chuck.
Yeah.
I saw Annie at Fenway Park eating chowder on top of the monster.
Yo, why y'all doing this to this guy, man?
Come on, man.
What's his name?
That was a hard one. Annie.
Annie.
The word you really had trouble with was my name.
Annie.
Is that how you say my name in Boston?
I saw Annie.
Hey, Annie.
At Fenway Park eating chowder on top of the monster.
Let's hear a real Bostonian say it.
I gotta hear this.
Saw Ernie at Fenway Park eating chowder on top of the monster.
That sounds just like me. No, hey, Ernie.
Charles is the legend.
It's I obviously being drafted by Boston, you get to hear the actual, like, our thing was you're trying to park your car in winter. We're in a winter parka.
Yeah, I think Goodwill Hunting was a lot of people's introduction. Like, oh wow.
Yeah, how do you like them apples, right?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of that series, it was 3-0 Miami, just like it was 3-0 Panthers in the NHL side. Boston's won 2 in a row. And look at this. Like, we're not even money, but there's a lot of people thinking there's some juice in that Celtics comeback in that series. Plus 120. I have to dance on that a little later. We'll see. Memorial Cup starts tonight. A great day for you to be in, a Western League assistant coach. You've seen Seattle. You're obviously familiar with Kamloops, the host. What is this tournament in this city look and feel like? Is this like a slam dunk for you to put it in a market like Kamloops?
I think so. Kamloops has such a rich tradition, particularly the Western Hockey League. The fan bases, they really get behind that, and you're going to get fans from all over. When we hosted in Vancouver, you met people from all over Canada. Come. It's an event.
It's kind of like Grey Cup, to be honest.
Exactly.
No matter where you're in the country, you might go every year. It's an annual trip, something like that.
And they're not bringing in a team that's hosting that's not very good. They could easily, 1 or 2 moves here that they could have beat Seattle. So they got some good players and they won't look out of place at all.
And you said Seattle, like, wagon.
They're really good. We played Winnipeg and they had a really good players. Like Winnipeg, Kamloops, and Seattle made those big deals at the deadline to load up specifically for this. But Seattle just the depth, the coaching, everything. They're favored. I don't know too much about Peterborough or Quebec, but I know with Quebec, Patty Roy is going to make sure his team is ready.
Speaking of Patty Waugh, we have an intrepid reporter at the Memorial Cup, fan of the show. I don't want to out our guest, but took this photo of Pat Waugh, I think. Now, maybe someone snuck in for the free food at the press conference, and that's them in front of Patrick Waugh's nameplate. But Patty, mix in a nap, buddy. Did they pull him off the plane there?
I feel like when you've won that much,
you can
do whatever you want. So I'm a big Patty Roy fan, and he's definitely, he looks like a man that's
a little disheveled,
that's prepared.
You'd be fighting me for bottles in the alley looking like that. Jeez. Okay, last one for you. Here's your schedule. Obviously, everyone play each other, and away we go. It starts tonight with the Blazers hosting the Rampart and what are we calling them? Ali Waugh. Bottle Depot, Pat Waugh. That goes tonight. Tomorrow you get Seattle against the Petes. Then it's the Blazers. One game a day. Going to be a lot of fun. They build in that extra day for a tiebreaker if needed. Semis go July 2nd and the finals on the 4th. If you're a Western League guy, do you just have to pull for the Western League teams now?
I think so. Yeah. You want your league to prove that you're the best. And those two teams, they'll be there, I think, at least semifinal, final. Again, I don't know Peterborough, but it's kind of a death curse for the team to make the final. And wait. Yeah. We played Plymouth in the semifinal. We beat them, and Medicine Hat was sitting there for 2 or 3 days, and we just had momentum going in. So it's interesting to see how teams prepare for that. And you're basically playing 3 or 4 game sevens, right?
Yeah.
So every win counts, and it's the best on best. And I think it's the hardest trophy to win in sports.
Last couple items here in the Pinder Report. Cavalry FC on the road this weekend. They take on York. The tie-in, it's Tommy's old assistant, Martin Nash, coaching York. He's Steve Nash's brother, and both love soccer. Steve owns a piece of the Whitecaps. There's the table. York in 5th, and Cavalry with that big win last weekend, undefeated through 6. 5 draws, finally got a win. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, another 3 points. Look pretty good in the standings there. Have you been to a game out here yet or not?
I was just going to ask, I'm not a big football fan. I'm a big Ted Lasso fan.
Yeah, so you're coming around.
Being in Europe, I kind of picked up a little bit, but I've always wanted to go see one of these games. You recommend
give me a heads up when you're in town.
I will. Thank you.
My treat.
Yep.
By my treat, I mean like maybe Cavalry's treat. I'll find someone. I'll get some blackmail on there, and away we go.
There you go.
Awesome. Finally, we got you're a living proof of it. But we have fans. We're so lucky the work that we've done together, Boom, Rhett, myself. No matter where people are in the world, they seem to tag along. We heard from Aussie Brad earlier this week, Jack. We've you noted you listened to the show in Norway. Take a look here. This is the Bahamas. And if you look really closely on the peninsula there by that incredible, clear, beautiful, crystal blue water, it looks like some sort of a rink there. Now it's hot. It's the Bahamas. So there you are. Okay. It looks like that's some sort of a sport court type playing surface, not ice. And what do we have on the ice? There's our boy. Is that Matt? Is it Matt or Mike, our boy that sent the photos in? There's the Barn Burner t-shirt from the Bahamas. Bermuda, sorry.
You sure it's not Lake Bonavista?
I kept saying Bahamas is Bermuda. Damn it. Really, I'm trying to give them all love and I put them in the wrong country. Barn Burner t-shirts are available on nationgear.ca. If you want to rep them somewhere interesting around the world, let's go. I want this to be like idiots wearing rider jerseys at sporting events all over North America. I want to see
China. If you're there,
that's right.
Throw your Barn Burner shirt on.
Like, think about it. If we had done this at a different time, you could have been wearing a Barn Burner shirt in Japan, Norway, Czech Republic,
Romania.
Was it Croatia for a while?
Croatia. Oh my God. Italy.
That's right. Florida, 1,000 different places.
Yeah.
You need to get some marketing on your suitcase.
I honestly never took advantage of my flight. Like I had Aeroplan, never took advantage of it. Dude. I think I should have now. I don't know can you go back and
if you haven't claimed them now, it's
too late.
I think they probably give you a year to claim something like that. Yeah. Oh man,
it's been a while,
dude. You'd have. I'm not going to tell you.
Hopefully, my wife isn't listening. We're supposed to go on our honeymoon. That would have been that would have helped.
It's like, I only got enough to get us to Hawaii and back 8 times. Come on, Wasey. What are you doing? Okay. I wish I had Rhett here for this one because his wife sent a picture of their bank account. I don't know if there's some sort of accounting glitch or if The credit card payments are high, but I've never seen a number like this before. The Warner family, that's like 99 billion. Rhett, how are you going to pay that off? Imagine logging into your app and seeing those numbers. That's where's the help number? This can't be right.
I feel like it's just an instant jammer. Your heart just sinks right into your stomach and you're done.
Good night, sweet prince. And finally, my spirit animal was found on the internet. There's the hike. Is it platform boots, Jack? What's he wearing there? I don't know. There's some serious height though.
You love a good high kick, right?
Well, it's a great party trick.
So do you stretch before you go out? Like, are you making sure your hamstrings are?
Look, it's only a party trick if you can do it drunk and you don't need to stretch.
Okay, well there you go. Yeah.
That's your Pinder Report on a Friday. I don't know that I need to know who Spartacus is, nor the lady in the wig there, but there we go. Again, for Village Honda, detailing packages from as little as $79. Get all the gunk out of your car, Wasey. You get all that winter junk, the rubber mats. Let's get to the nice soft fur stuff. They'll do it. All the inside, all the outside. Get spring and winter off your car. Get ready for summer. VillageHonda.com.